William Ruto and journalist Joshua Sang are back to face the International Criminal Court. They want their human rights abuse-related crimes to be withdrawn. Our correspondent Jack Parrock is at The Hague and joins us now. Jack, thanks very much for joining us. Welcome to the programme. Take us what happened through the process of what happened today.
Well, essentially what has happened is the defence of William Ruto and Joshua Sang, their team, a very experienced and well-respected legal team, are now pushing at the International Criminal Court to have the case dropped against these two men. They want the case dropped on the grounds of the prosecution has basically not provided enough evidence to prove that they will be able to convict these two men. Now, we've begun to hear a few of the submissions from the prosecution, and we've got 4 days of it before Friday, when there'll be a status conference when we'll hear whether the defence has been successful.
And how are the prosecutors feeling? Because their case has really been challenged. 6 witnesses not being available in the end.
Indeed. So the prosecutor has regularly condemned what she says has been witness tampering by the Kenyan government and Kenyan authorities, essentially preventing witnesses and forcing them to recant their evidence. The Kenyan government, for their part, have fought back against the ICC over the fact that the judges of the ICC have said that recanted evidence that has been recanted in this trial can be used because of the conditions. So there's an ongoing dispute, but this case really now is about the ICC's place in the world. If it will be seen by many critics, if this case does get dropped, that the ICC won't be able to really bring justice for the victims of serious crimes like crimes against humanity, war crimes, genocide, etc.
Yeah, you're dead right. I think people are saying that this is a test case in many ways. I mean, the court's only had 2 convictions in 13 years, so they really have got their backs to the wall.
Indeed, they have only managed to secure 2 convictions, and some of it has really been people getting off on technicalities where cases have been split. And the same evidence that has been used to convict one person and not the other person because of different levels of evidence, etc. It was a big failure for the court. It was perceived by the court and by many human rights kind of observers that the trial of the Kenyan president Uhuru Kenyatta got dropped, and now really the case against William Ruto is the kind of main case at the ICC. The prosecutor will not the judges to drop this case and to let William Ruto and Joshua Sang off.
Remind us again what charges Ruto and Sang are facing.
So they face charges of crimes against humanity for their alleged involvement in the post-election violence in Kenya. The elections happened at the end of 2007, and the violence continued into 2008. 1,200 people were killed. There was a big outbreak, and they're accused essentially of ordering leaders and elders of particular ethnic groups to attack other groups, and undeniably there was many deaths in the country. But really now the evidence needs to be there for William Ruto to be accused of orchestrating this violence.
And the prosecution was busy trying to get the evidence led without the public being able to see this. The defense was saying this must be a public hearing. Why was there this difficulty between the prosecution and the defense?
So the prosecution essentially says that if the witnesses are forced to go publicly and talk about this, then they face repercussions. Also, they could be, intimidated by what the prosecution says to Kenya, like how the prosecution says the Kenyan government has been doing. But the defence insists that if this trial is to continue, that all the evidence must be out in the open there. And there's actually quite a lot of support for that view, in the sense that there's been so many twists and turns and tangles and different elements to this case, with the Kenyatta case, with the Kenyan government standing up against recanted evidence being used, that now they're saying that everything in this case needs to be out in the open for everybody to see and scrutinise.
All right, and finally, just is there a timeline of how long this process will take?
there's a status conference on Friday when we'll hear what's going on, but it could take months, in fact, before they decide what to do in this case. This is a legal process and there's no time limit essentially on it.
All right, so that's our correspondent Jack Parrock speaking to us from The Hague on this ICC court case against the Kenyan Deputy President William Ruto and journalist Sang.